we're at a point where Bravo is going to have to recast this entire cast if they ever want people to stop or move on from the colorism conversation involving this show. That's just what's going to have to happen at this point. Otherwise, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Tammy. This is Tammy Talks, Real Housewives of Potomac, Season 8, The Reunion, Part 2. So we pick up right where we left off with Mia talking about how Ink thinks that Jeremiah is his son. So Mia said that she had an IUI, and because she is a woman that knows her body, she knows that that kid is Gordon's. So while Mia is talking about this with Andy, Ashley, Wendy, and Candiace are talking about how much Jeremiah looks like Gordon with the underbite and all this other kind of stuff. Karen gets fed up with it and said, kids should be off limits. This baby is going to have to see this at some point. Wendy should have never brought it up. Wendy should have never brought it up. I get what Wendy was trying to do by move the conversation along, by trying to, spill more of Mia's tea, but Wendy should have never brought up that particular thing because, like Karen said, this baby is old enough to get online. He's old enough for people at school to hear about this. There is literally no reason why this child's father, the paternity of this child's father, should be discussed on this reunion whatsoever. Shame on you, Mia, for even letting the conversation go on. Shame on you, Gordon, for getting in that group chat and saying it to these men, knowing they would tell their wives on this messy ass show. So Karen said that she found out that Mia was messing with Ink at the Grand Dame family reunion party. She said she found out that they started messing around after that. Mia said that's not true. It wasn't that soon. Andy then said that Robyn caught hell for not sharing her marriage woes, and she's asking Mia, with everybody calling for everybody else to be transparent, what's the haps with this. Mia said, because I told Robyn in that salt cave that I was thinking about, that I had already gotten a divorce attorney, that I already retained counsel. So Gizelle then asks if Gordon is mad because his financial situation is not what it once was, and Mia is leaving him for somebody that is more financially stable. Mia said no. I am leaving him because of the way that he behaves. I guess the yelling, the draining her bank account, all of that type of stuff. She said Gordon does not work currently and that she is helping him financially. Gizelle points out that it is important for all the ladies to have their own bank accounts. Always have your own money. So Mia then explains this whole inheritance thing. This lady said, fortunately for her, 3 of her grandparents died. Fortunately. Is that a Freudian slip, Mia? Fortunately, nonetheless, 3 of her grandparents died, and so she received money from their passing. That same year is when she married Gordon. She found out that he is a functioning bankrupt person, meaning that Gordon lives above his means. Every single cent that he brings in, he is pushing out in some capacity, just as fast, right? So that is Mia's issue with Gordon. She says she wishes she would have known that Gordon had these, financial struggles and he had this problem managing his money, because they could have, probably got an accountant or got a financial advisor of some sort. So Mia said that she is being sued by that apartment. Remember, that was in the blogs that Mia was getting sued for like unpaid rent. She said, look, I left that penthouse. Gordon refused to do so. He needs to pay his portion of what he owes. That's why she is being sued. Did y'all see Candiace's face? Candiace thought Mia was going to clear it up. And when Mia was like, no, it's true. I was Candiace. Oh, you just gonna admit it. Okay, sis. She then says that when it comes down to details about her divorce, she cannot file for divorce. Did she say? I wrote Junie. It's either June or July. My notes are. It's one of them this summer. Because the businesses are up for sale, she cannot divorce him before that. That makes sense. So Candiace and Wendy then laugh when they are asked about Mia's divorce. Now I know we're not going to be fair here, and they're not going to be called disgusting and all the other type of stuff that Gizelle got for laughing. But they laugh, and they said that in the husband's group chat, Gordon was attacking them. Um, Andy is asking, did all the ladies reach out? And Wendy and Candiace are the only two that apparently did not reach out to Mia. Now, Candiace and Mia, I thought were cool, so there's really no reason for Candiace have not to, aside from she just didn't want to, which is her prerogative. Candiace immediately said, you know what, I did not reach out. Wendy, as Wendy always does, Wendy never takes accountability, y'all. It is the most annoying thing. Wendy does not take accountability and instead talks in circles and said that at the last reunion, they did not leave on a good note. Mia apologized for hitting her with the purse and the drink and all that stuff. This season, y'all made up and y'all have been cool since the pickleball event, which was like episode 2 or 3, right? So I wish Wendy just say you didn't want to call her ass. That's all you had to say. But for you to try to make it seem as if y'all were not on good terms, it's just a lie. So then Wendy is like, well, there were things in there that I could have ended you with, but I have enough respect and love for you to not. And it's like, yeah, you were waiting probably for when Mia, got out of line with you and you were going to throw her ass under the bus. I do not believe that it was a matter of I love and respect you so much. You called this lady stupid. You said she didn't have the intelligence to keep up with a YouTube video. Oh my God. Who child? And I guess it's rumored Wendy's not going to be coming back. Okay. So we then find out that Mia lives in a penthouse. Gordon right now lives in Charlotte, but he's moving across the street from her. Y'all just want these kids to be in a state of confusion. I don't care about Mia's story. I don't. I know y'all keep saying that, oh, Mia's gonna pull, Mia's gonna carry the next season. I don't care to hear about this organized dysfunction that she is choosing to put these children in. This sounds like bullshit that Mia has cooked up with Gordon to be on the show. None of this seems like super realistic. Like I said too, even their argument the last scene did not seem authentic to me. While I believe most of that stuff was true, it seemed more like a reenactment to me. So we get to Gizelle's package. We see the package about her father. We know her father has passed away, her daughter going to school, and then that little fake situation she had with that boy from Summer House or Winter House, one of the houses on Bravo. So they show the scene where Wendy said that she has nothing to offer Gizelle in terms of her father because Gizelle talked about and made fun of her mother while her mother was in the hospital. Gizelle said immediately, I didn't do that. That's a lie. I did not know your mother was in the hospital. Two things can be true at once. Gizelle, you called that lady evil. You sat up there and you called Wendy's mother evil. You're not even denying that. Whether you knew she was in the hospital or not, you still called her evil for a situation that did not involve you, that did not concern you, and quite frankly was none of your damn business. So that's one part of it. The second part, Wendy, nobody knew your mother was in the hospital. And I'm not saying that you have to broadcast that for people to show your mother respect, but your mother has interjected herself into this show when she went after Mia and then when she allegedly went after Nneka. But you can't sit up there and say, well, you knew my mom was in, well, nobody knew, but my mom was in the hospital when y'all were talking about her, as an excuse as to why you had literally no empathy for Gizelle's father having surgery from brain cancer. Two things can be true at once. Both y'all asses were wrong, and both y'all asses are lying right now, right? So Gizelle gets emotional talking about her father. She said that everybody in her family told her not to do the show, probably because they knew it would end like this. They probably know that you're a natural born mean girl, and they probably said it's in your best interest to not put that out to the show. Okay? She said her father was the only person that wanted her to do it because he thinks that she's a great person. I don't think that Gizelle is an awful person in real life and she goes around attacking people. I think that Gizelle got on this show and she let the villain role get to her head, and she's too far in now for her to try to change course. You have stood 10 toes down on being the villain, on being a mean girl, on being a bitch on this show, and now it's almost like you're too deep in it. You have to stand in it. You've had issues with everybody on this cast aside from Robyn. You can't, like, you refuse because you have too much pride to, try to work things out with Candiace, to try to work things out with Wendy. So that's where we are. So we see some real tears for the first time from Gizelle since season 3, when Sherman had her crying in the shampoo bowl after he it's not funny. After he stood her up at Candiace's wedding and then broke up with her ass when Monique brought his ex-wife, it was a mess. But we have now seen some real tears from Gizelle. And I think it's weird. So many people are like, she's a bitch. She doesn't cry. Sometimes people just don't cry, y'all. There are a lot of people that do not wear their emotions on their sleeves. I think when people look at Gizelle, who does not cry, that like hides her emotions, they compare her to Candiace, somebody that's clearly an empath that wears her heart on her sleeves. And sleeves, she wears her heart when we can see it. And I think that no one way to go about things is wrong. Candiace is a person that shows her emotion fully. Gizelle is a person that doesn't. People that, I'm not a huge crier personally. I don't show a lot of emotion either, but that doesn't mean that I'm an evil person. You know what I mean? Like, my mom is a super empath. Like, you say the wrong thing to my mom and she will cry, drop of a hat. But I think that, like, I just think that people prejudge people that don't show emotion. I'm not saying Gizelle solely is just this wonderful person. Before y'all come at me in the comments, I'm just saying that people were like, she's not even crying about her father, she doesn't care. People process things differently, okay? So Candiace is emotional and starts crying. Candiace is an empath. So Andy asks Candiace why she's crying. And I wish, like, Andy, why did you even ask her that? And I get where Andy is trying to go with the conversation, but it's like, why even ask her that? So then Mia is like, well, she's a crier. That's just what she does. Gizelle's old mean ass is like, she even cries about things that have nothing to do with her. And it's like, damn, Gizelle, you don't do yourself no favor, sis. Like, literally none. Literally none. I feel like Gizelle is very guarded about her father, about her emotions with the situation. After watching the season, where she has not really said anything about Candiace, and she has watched this woman tear her down every chance she gets to come on a reunion and kind of do the same thing. But it's like, damn, Gizelle, let the woman cry for you. My God. So Candiace said that she feels for her. If you don't feel bad for somebody that lost a parent, you know what I mean? I guess. So, Mia then said, well, she's showing that she does care for you, Gizelle. Candiace doesn't deny it. Gizelle does make a face of like, here's my thing with, this is my thing with Candiace and Gizelle. I think Gizelle knows that she went too far, but Gizelle's pride won't let her admit it. So she's determined to be upset. I think Candiace knows that she went too far. Her pride won't let her admit it. She is determined to be mad at Gizelle. They will never get anywhere unless one of them, it doesn't matter which one, swallows their pride and is willing to extend an olive branch to start a conversation. A big issue with this is production should have made them sit down and talk about this last season. Last season. Gizelle should have never said Chris was a sneaky link. Gizelle should have never said Chris forced her to go into a room. Gizelle should have never said that Chris was trying to see if she was with it. Should have never insinuated that that lady's husband wanted to cheat on her with you. Candiace, on the flip, should have never said all of the shit she said about Gizelle. A lot of this could have been avoided if when Gizelle said, he made me feel uncomfortable, if Candiace said, cool, why don't we all sit down and let's talk about this, or let me go talk to Chris and find out what happened. Everybody handled this poorly. Every single person, from Candiace to Gizelle to Robyn to production to Bravo and now to Andy. Every single person has handled this poorly, and your show is suffering at the expense of it. Okay? So Andy then asks Karen, can she now acknowledge that Wendy and Candiace were making faces when Gizelle talked about Grace going to school? Karen said that she can acknowledge that everybody makes faces. Gizelle gets upset about that because Karen, like, I wish Karen, like, we all say Karen is the fence, right? But Karen blatantly lies about stuff. We just watched the scene, Karen. All Karen had to say was, I can admit that they did make faces. But Karen, like I told y'all, Karen is so scared. And you can't tell me any other, and you can't convince me any other way. Karen is so scared about being lumped in to being called colorist that she is not going to go against Wendy or Candiace on camera. She's not going to. And it's not a matter of riding the fence. We all just watched the clip, but whatever the case. So Candiace then said that she is so sorry that Gizelle is weaponizing her children to make Candiace and Wendy look evil. I don't think that made y'all look evil. It just made y'all look petty. But at the same time, y'all made the faces. Y'all made the faces. It's not a matter of Gizelle weaponizing her children. Y'all made the faces. So then Wendy said that what didn't get shown is that she congratulated Grace by way of Gizelle, and even asked if she's going to be an AKA. Now, some of y'all said that during that scene, Wendy did say congrats first, which she did. Do I think that Wendy went and told Gizelle and had a conversation, or attempted to ask her if Grace was going to be an AKA or anything like that? I absolutely think she did. The fact that production is saying that they don't have footage, to me, is bullshit. It's bullshit. It is. Y'all, like, and Wendy has no reason to lie about that. Wendy has no reason to lie about that. But what I think, this is just what I think that Wendy had that conversation with Gizelle after you basically called her a bad mother and said, well, I would never send my kids down to Florida. But I wish that production was fair when they're showing these flashbacks. Because why wouldn't y'all have that on camera? They trying to get you up out of here, Wendy. Production is really trying to get you up out of here, sis. Gizelle is saying that it didn't happen. Only Candiace and Wendy are saying it did. Everybody else is quiet. Okay. They then talk about Gizelle and her little fake boyfriend. Who cares? We know that shit is not real. Mia hints that Gizelle is dating an athlete. Gizelle is never going to bring another real boyfriend or person she's dating on this show because of what Monique did with Sherman. It was Monique and Charisse. Because of what Monique and Charisse did with Sherman, Gizelle is never bringing another man on this show. I need every fan to understand that. She's not going to. Production is not forcing her to, so she's not going to. Maybe if they get a new production company, if Gizelle gets to come back, because at this point, fire every fucking body. Get rid of every single person on this cast and start fresh. Start fresh. So we then move on to Candiace's package. So Candiace gets emotional about the fact that, remember, she found the masses in her breast, and she was supposed to get one biopsied, but when she went to go get it done, it had shrunk so small that she didn't have to anymore. So praise God for that. You don't want to hear about anybody having breast cancer or just any ailments. Like, nobody should have such a ferocious dislike for these women that you wish poor health on them. So thank God for that. So she then implores everybody to make sure you ladies are getting your mammograms, going to the doctor, stay on top of your health, right? So she then asked why she didn't want Drew to open for her again when her manager, Nairi, shout out Milwaukee, when Nye asked if she wanted Drew to open for her. Apparently, so Candiace said that when she does business a certain way. Something happened. I guess Drew wanted to use somebody in her camp for something. Drew did something shady. Candiace don't move like that. She don't want to move forward with Drew. Well within her rights. Okay? Well within her rights. She's relieved that the lawsuit with Michael was dismissed. Ashley is still standing that she didn't know anything about the case and had nothing to gain financially if Michael did win. Candiace believes her, does not think that Ashley knew anything about the case. Robyn, so they didn't talk Robyn and Candiace, and I'm so sick of talking about this. They're not friends anymore. I get it. It's the reunion. I get it. So, Andy asked Robyn if she felt that Candiace was coming for her job. Robyn felt Candiace was critical of the job she was doing and felt a friend doesn't do that. Robyn, no. A friend can be critical of the job that you're doing. Your issue is she did it publicly. Because I feel like if Candiace would have texted Robyn and been like, that was some bullshit, Robyn, you know that, I think that this would have gone a little differently. Robyn is upset that Candiace did it publicly. Okay? Candiace said, so now we get some context. Candiace said January 19th was when they filmed the last reunion. On the 23rd, Candiace commented on one of Robyn's stories and said, long hair. Robyn responded, I guess it's better than looking like the white adjacent, whatever Candiace told Gizelle at the reunion. Candiace then said, are you mad at me? Let's pause there. Robyn, that was passive aggressive as fuck. That was passive aggressive. If you were mad at her, if you felt that you caught a stray from that, be an adult and tell her. Be an adult and tell her, right? At the same, that's all I'm going to say about that. So, apparently, after that, so then we get March. Now, these women haven't talked from January to March. So, in March, when all the wine stuff came out, Candiace texted Robyn again. Sorry about what's going on with you and Juan. Robyn did not respond. Candiace said that when they did the reasonably shady behind the paywall, and she found out that Robyn was selling the story for $5. She was pissed, so that's when she let loose. Now look, Candiace, just because you're mad that she didn't respond to you about her marital issues does not mean that you can go forward and blast your friend and drag her and then feel that nothing would happen from that. Robyn, you were passive aggressive as fuck, right? If you're mad at her, say you're mad at her. If you felt that you caught a stray, tell her you caught a stray. But if y'all are friends, what did y'all keep claiming that y'all were friends? You should have been able to say the way that you talked to Gizelle, the whole white adjacent comment, whatever the case, I'm offended by that, whatever the case, and y'all should have been able to talk it out. Okay? So Robyn then gets emotional and said that she ignored. So Candiace apologized for the tweets. Finally, I feel like Candiace could have apologized episodes ago for this. Nonetheless, Candiace apologizes. Kudos to her. That's all you had to do in the first place. But she apologizes. Robyn then said that the reason she ignored her is because she was uncomfortable with the colorism conversation. She says she's never been accused of colorism. She does not know how to navigate that conversation. She starts crying. Let me say this. If you are a person that you truly believe you are not colorist, Gizelle and Robyn wholeheartedly believe they are not colorist, right? If that's what they believe, then yes, they are going to be uncomfortable with the accusations. The accusations are coming from the fans. That's the thing. So Candiace then said that she grew up in a household where these type of conversations were common. I grew up in a household where these type of conversations are common. I am brown skinned, obviously. I am the same complexion as my father, right? My mother is a lighter complected woman. She is the same complexion as my brother, who is also more fair skinned. My mother made sure that I knew that my brown is beautiful, that there is nothing wrong with my skin tone, that people are going to treat me differently in regards to my complexion. I grew up knowing all of that, which is why I am more than comfortable being brown skinned, right? Candiace grew up in a household where she grew up around those conversations as well. I personally feel something got lost in the mix because Candiace does seem to have issues and to not be comfortable in her own skin. That is just my opinion. You don't have to agree. You don't have to side with me or anything like that. Candiace does not seem to be comfortable in her own skin. And I only say that because we know that Candiace grew up very affluent. Candiace grew up in wealth. Candiace grew up and probably had a bunch of white friends from where she grew up in the area she grew up in. We have seen that Candiace has an issue with lighter complected women. So the fact that Gizelle and Robyn don't see it for her is where the colorism conversation from her has started. Gizelle said she has no issue talking about colorism. Candiace is like, I'm not talking to you. Granted, she wasn't. She wasn't. But I also feel like when you say, I didn't think that this group of women had an issue talking about colorism, if Gizelle feels that you're talking to her, she's going to say something. So Gizelle said that she went to a HBCU. She's an AKA. That does not mean that you cannot be colorist because you went to Hampton and you pledged AKA. That's not what that means, right? So Candiace then said that she did not call them colorists. Look, Candiace has not. Candiace has denied that Candiace has said very verbatim, I do not think my castmates are colorists. She said it on the reunion. She said it again on Angela Yee's podcast, and she said it in another interview as well. But as Gizelle pointed out, Candiace has implied they are. And whether Candiace realizes it or not, you have. You have. I've seen Candiace retweet different things that insinuate the ladies are colorists. You've retweeted them, you've hearted them, you've made comments about colorism being on the show. You just didn't want that on your name, so you never called them colorists. Wendy then said the real issue is that Gizelle and Robyn, or the women accused of colorism, who are Gizelle, Robyn, and Ashley, should be asking, why are y'all calling us colorist? Karen said there's no one better to have this conversation with us than us. I was with Wendy. Y'all asses are not equipped to have this conversation. Y'all tried to have the conversation last reunion. And it ended in Candiace saying that Gizelle is a white looking ass woman. So y'all are not equipped to have this conversation. It's obvious. The conversation needs to be had by some older person that has like a doctoral degree in race relations and that has specialized in this type of study, that does not know any of these women, so there is no natural bias, okay, no innate bias as to whether they like Gizelle more or whether they like Wendy more or anything like that, or whether they went to Hampton or anything like that. You have to find a complete neutral person that does not know these women, that can sit down without watching the show and have a conversation with them about colorism. But there are, like, the fan base is split. It's split down to half. Half of the fan base does not believe that there is colorism on this show. The other half of the fan base does believe it. This will never end. We will never move past this unless they wipe out this cast and be done. Because now that Candiace is gone from the show, we know that for a fact. If they bring Gizelle back and Candiace is gone, it's going to be, oh, the show is colorist because they brought back the lighter skinned women. It's rumored Wendy is gone. So now people are like, oh, the show is colorist. They got rid of the brown skinned women. They're never gonna beat these allegations. They are never going to beat it. So then in Nneka, no, before that, so then they start talking about whether Candiace and Robyn are going to move forward. Candiace said that worse things have happened. This should not be friendship ending. Robyn is like, well, she still thinks I plotted on her husband. Candiace said, get over it. No, no. You keep bringing it up. How are they going? You need to get over it. They cut to commercial, and Nneka asks why are they calling them colorists to Robyn. Robyn said it's because they have conflict. Anytime they have conflict with a brown-skinned woman, they are called colorists. I agree with that statement. Because when y'all come in my comments, when people are on Twitter, when you're reading these think pieces that everybody is publishing, when you watch other YouTube channels that feel that Robyn and Gizelle are colorists, the one thing that people always say is, well, they made up with Karen. They're okay with Karen, but they won't make up with Wendy and Candiace. That's the one thing that people say. I've asked people in my comments, why do you think that they're colorists? I don't try to persuade anybody any given way. You feel how you feel. But that is the one thing that people always say. People always say, well, Karen said that Gizelle had a hot box and she was a whore from Hampton that went to Sing Sing. And they made up, but she's mad that, she won't move on from the fact that Candiace called her a white woman, or, white look in your proximity to whiteness, however she phrased it. That is literally always the argument. She won't make up with Wendy, but she made up with Karen. That is the one argument. I feel like I don't know enough about these women to say anything about them. But that is the one argument that people make. So I think that was the opportunity, though, for Wendy to say, y'all are called colorists because, and I wish that Wendy would have taken that next step with it, but here we are. So then the guys are coming out. before the guys come out, and Nneka ran through her husband real quick, and it was like, "Girl, do you like him or not?" But she told him, "You aren't here to defend me. You're here to support me. Otherwise, you can go wherever the hell Juan Dixon is." Girl, what? Why you be talking to your husband like that? Why does your husband let you talk to him? I guess, girl, that marriage just not gonna last. So they come out. Um, they asked Chris why he hasn't been around much. Chris said that if he's not wanted around, then he won't be around. Andy said, "Does Candiace not want you around?" And Candiace was like, "No, I want him around, but there are women trying to push him out so he's not comfortable." Chris said that he hasn't talked about anything since the last reunion outside of 3 interviews. That is a bold face ass lie, Chris. And I like Chris. That is a lie. Chris was Twitter fingers heavy until that woman came out and said that they had an affair, and he was radio silent on Twitter. Chris was Twitter fingers heavy for a very long time on Twitter. That is not true, Chris. I'm sorry, but that's just not true. And I even remember somebody telling Candiace, "Your husband is doing too much." And her response is, "He's well within his rights to say anything that he wants to." So, no, you weren't. You got quiet when that lady came out. So, Kristen said that he's never met the girl and that they did not have an affair. Did not have an affair. Robyn is like, "What about the screenshots?" Shut up, Robyn. Robyn, like, this is probably why Robyn's ass got fired. You doing all this bumping of the gums, worrying about what Chris has been doing, when you need to be worried about what Juan is doing. I don't, like, what is Robyn thinking? Like, seriously, y'all, what do y'all think is really going through Robyn's head that she thinks asking Chris all these questions? Like, sis. So, Chris is like, "I'll repeat, I've never met this girl." So Robyn is like, "You don't gotta meet her to send screenshots." I have no comment on it. I don't know. Like I said, nobody will ever know the truth. Candiace is asked if she paid off the woman, because that was a big thing. Candiace said no. She then gets asked if she thinks that Gizelle and Robyn are behind the lady doing this. Candiace said that she has such a distrust for Gizelle that she doesn't know. Here's the thing. The whole Gizelle and Robyn are behind this came from Tasha K. When that lady did the interview with Tasha, and then she came back and recanted the story, Tasha said, "Hey, maybe Gizelle and Robyn are behind this. I don't know." And that is what caused that to run with it. That's where the fans ran with it. Do I think Gizelle and Robyn are behind this? No. They would be stupid to be behind it. They would be stupid. That woman sounded drunk. That woman sounded belligerent. But the woman also then recanted her recant of the story. And then the story just went away. And Chris has been all but silent on Twitter. At least to my understanding, I don't follow him. But I feel like, that whole For You thing that Twitter has that forces people on your timeline, I haven't seen him come up much of anything lately. Maybe because people aren't engaging with his tweets the same way. Um Gizelle gets upset. She's like, "I don't know the woman," whatever the case. The woman even said that this is not on Gizelle. That didn't really hold well for you, G, but hey. So then Chris and Gizelle kind of go like a little back and forth, where Chris is like, "Well, let her feel how she wants to feel." And I'm like, that argument y'all can't have, because y'all didn't let Gizelle feel uncomfortable. So they have like a little back and forth, and then Chris is like, "I'm over it. I left it. I'm done with it." If that was true, Chris, you keep bringing it up, though. You keep bringing up what happened 2 years ago. Why wouldn't you come out and solely talk about what's going on with you and Candiace this season? But when I say that Candiace used it as her storyline both last season and some of this season, y'all act like I'm crazy. So they then asked the husbands how they feel about Juan not coming. The husbands have no comment. G said, I mean, not, I don't want to sound like I'm throwing slugs, but I came to support my wife, well, now ex wife. And we end on a cliffhanger with G getting ready to tell us something that has Mia crying and whatever the case. That was part two, y'all. Let me know how you guys felt about this episode. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, thumbs up the video, and I will catch you guys next week for part three. I'm ready for the show to be over. Bye.